Hello and a warm welcome to another edition of To The Point. On the show this week, Chief Election Commissioner of India, Mr. O P Rawat. I welcome you on To The Point.
Thank you.
I think you are one of the busiest men in India right now.
Yeah, because of elections to 5 poll-going states and also preparing for Lok Sabha.
Okay. Starting with the new benchmarks which Election Commission has set for the year 2018 and also for the coming Lok Sabha polls. What are the new processes which you have involved this year?
We have revamped two aspects. One is enforcement against the abuse of money and the regulations regarding use of social media, because these were the main concerns of the Election Commission, and we took pains to create awareness about these two aspects among the common voters and tried to empower common voter also by launching C-Vigil, citizen vigilance, that if our machinery is not able to promptly capture abuse of money, it is in the hands of every citizen that you can take a photo or video and just submit, and it will land in the inbox of the enforcement authorities, and they will respond within minutes to catch, to lodge FIR, to arrest, and to seize. So that is something which is really proving a very good attempt at curbing the abuse of money.
But of course, people's participation is good, and you'll have more and more people reaching out to the Election Commission. But there is also a flip side to it. What happens if a fake video or a fake post is sent to you? How do you really tackle that? I mean, do you have an enforcement mechanism, or do you have a mechanism by which you can filter out these kind of things?
Actually, in fact, it is for defeating the fake information, because we didn't have this, and we had flying squads and static teams, video surveillance teams, and political class was misusing all this machinery by giving a complaint from north, whereas they have to do something in south. So that you run towards north and they do something in south. So after analyzing that in Karnataka election, we found that this is happening. So we wanted that something with evidence comes. Then you will have something to bank on. Yes, this photograph is there, this video is there, means something wrong was happening there. And then we have put some checks on that also, that after shooting the video of this activity, you cannot go away from there and send it from somewhere else. You have to upload it within 5 minutes and send it. Only then it will be captured, otherwise it will not. So there are checks and balances in that to ensure that there are no fake complaints in this, and we don't waste our time and energy on fake complaints.
Right. But if you look at the profile of all the political parties, almost all of them have taken to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Now, how does Election Commission draw a Lakshman Rekha? When it comes to hate inciting posts, when it comes to fake videos, where do you draw the Lakshman Rekha that look, this is the point beyond which you cannot move?
Actually, we have legal provisions, then Honorable Supreme Court's rulings in this regard, and these have to be enforced without any sort of relaxation anywhere. Therefore, it's not Lakshman Rekha, it's anything and everything which violates any of these, we have to catch and we have to take action against that. And therefore, our official team interacted with all the social media platforms last 4 or 5 months and got their commitment that they will be doing the needful for fact checking about fake videos, fake news. They will also be taking action in case anything which is inciting or provocative, to remove that from their platforms. And in the last 48 hours before conclusion of poll, if anything is there relating to election, they'll take it down.
But with the increased penetration of mobile internet technology, obviously you cannot have the same set of guidelines which you have for television or which you have for print. So are there a separate set of guidelines with the way are you going to handle social media?
Excellent question you raised, because this was the issue under consideration of the Commission for past so many years. Yeah. And in fact, January this year, we set up an expert group to look into the legal provisions about social media and this new technology. And this group has done their work, and they will be submitting their report shortly. And then these guidelines, which you are talking about, will be in place.
Okay. So it will be in place much before the 2019 elections?
Sure, it is with that in view.
Okay. But there are, another set of new age challenges which we really see on the social media is that somehow, this Cambridge Analytica episode doesn't get repeated. You have challenges like data harvesting, then profiling, then communication, targeted communication. How are you really tackling this? I mean, is there a way you've thought that this is how I'm going to tackle with these issues?
Election Commission has taken all necessary steps for cyber security to protect its data, so that nothing of Cambridge Analytica can ever happen to Election Commission's database. That is one. Second, about data you are not sure where from they will get. If not Election Commission, they may get from some other sources. So even with that data, they should not be able to do profiling and targeted communication. That is why we engage with the social media platforms directly and ensured that any such thing which is getting virality, which is catching the attention of more people, then it will be checked, and it will be, if found adverse to any election related laws, rules or systems, it will be removed. So all those steps have been taken in this direction only.
But all these new age challenges, they are a potent threat not only to the Indian democracy but across the world. We've seen that this is a phenomena which is really posing a threat for the electoral process. So are we to assume that these challenges are really giving more headaches to the Election Commission, or they are keeping you on the toes all the time? How does one see that?
Actually, these are the emerging challenges, not only for us, but global democracies. And everybody is making efforts in setting up new enforcement mechanisms, in formulating new legal regimes, like Germany has created new law. Those kind of things are happening the world over. Election Commission has been monitoring all these developments, and taking a cue from them is also developing our own system which suits our ecosystem, so that we can meet the challenges which are going to affect our elections.
Now, moving on from the social media monitoring and coming to the expenditure bit which you initially mentioned during the interview. Now, if I look at the data, I was just going through the data which I got from the Law Ministry, say from 1984 to 2014, we've seen that the election expenditure has exponentially risen. I'm not going into the details of whether it's a party or whether it's the individuals, but what do you think are the major reasons why this expenditure on elections is really increasing exponentially with each passing year?
There are two categories of election expenditure. One is on election delivery, election management, which election apparatus like us do. We are the cheapest in the world. We spend only $1 a vote, whereas many other democracies spend $25 a vote, $14 a vote. In fact, next door neighbor recently held elections and they spent $1.6 a vote. So we are the cheapest in election management expenditure. But expenditure by political parties and candidates is exponentially rising. And reason is not very far to see, because if you treat it as investment and if you have earning opportunities after coming to office, you will definitely make more investments. This is what is happening. And therefore, it calls for overall reforms of the whole system, whole electoral cycle, not only elections, but even governance.
But when it comes to capping the limit of expenditure, when it comes to individuals or the political parties, is capping the real solution to the entire problem? Can you really remove the ills of the electoral process, which emerge out of the parties, out of the individuals? How do you see that?
Capping at least gives us a semblance of something where we can work. Otherwise, if there is no capping, then sky is the limit. Then whole governance failure in stopping corruption, making money, will reflect in all elections. Therefore, capping is important, but capping should be comprehensive. Like, it is not sufficient to cap the expenditure of the candidate. Right now, the limits you said, 28 lakhs for assembly election to the candidate and 70 lakhs for parliament seat to a candidate in general states like UP, MP, Bihar. Smaller states, it is smaller, like 20 lakhs in Mizoram. So that capping is there, but there is no capping on political party expenditure. Now, if for a candidate,
that's where the dichotomy is.
Yes, if for a candidate party spends 10 crores, it will be visibly seen that this person is spending so much, whereas he is discreetly distancing himself from that expenditure by avoiding his name, his photo, that's all. That is where all party meeting, we got a suggestion that even political parties' expenditure should be capped. We are going to suggest that to the Law Ministry, and once that is in place, I think capping will become a very effective tool in controlling the election.
But are you hopeful that the political parties will be ready for capping their expenditure?
Because most of the political parties, except for one or two, were for it, and therefore we should hope.
But we saw that the introduction of electoral bonds, measures like these which have been taken by the government, how helpful are they going to be for the elections?
Actually, when finance bill was passed, we realized that these are going to reduce the transparency, these are going to add opacity, these are going to give rise to shell companies, these are going to give rise to loss-making companies also to contribute. All kinds of issues were there, which Election Commission immediately flagged and wrote to the Law Ministry that these bond schemes will really create these kind of problems, and information will not be in public domain. At that time, we were told that it is premature because our scheme is not yet formulated, and you don't have any other data, contribution report or anything, so let us await. Now,
but how has the progress been? Because we've seen the sale of electoral bonds and in quite a number of phases. So what has been your experience? You must have seen it progressing.
A scheme was formulated and notified on 2nd January 18, and more than 5 tranches of electoral bonds have been issued. The experience shows, like contribution reports have come which we have put in public domain. So I am hearing from everywhere that there is nothing mentioned about the money got from electoral bonds. Even audited accounts have come from some political parties. So those concerns, I personally feel as of now, prima facie, that those concerns are really alive, not addressed.
Now, coming to paid news, I would say that normally it's seen that measures have been taken against paid news, but it's never enough. And normally we've seen that though there is circumstantial evidence always, but to put it on record and say that this is where paid news has happened, this is where the main difficulty of Election Commission has been. So how are you really going to tackle this?
This system started very well, and we could establish a regime where 95% or more candidates, when they were issued notice about the paid news, they admitted that yes, this might have been paid for by any worker of mine, so please add this to our expenditure. But suddenly we got a decision from Honorable High Court of Delhi which put everything at hold. Now we went in SLP to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has stayed that order for us, especially for implementing paid news cases. And once Honorable Supreme Court ruling is available, only then the fate of paid news system will be decided as to whether it will go ahead and it will be more effective or it will remain just like that.
But till the time the ruling doesn't come from the Supreme Court,
we are implementing paid news as it used to be, because they have stayed the High Court's order. Right. So as it was being done earlier, it will be done in these 5 states.
So it will be done, but obviously it's not going to be that effective.
No, it will be equally effective because there is no bar now. Supreme Court is only considering, only adjudicating this matter, and in case a ruling comes in our favor, we will have our system more in fact, effectively.
Now coming to the VVPAT machines, which has been the biggest talking point of India's Election Commission. Now, despite the VVPAT machines being introduced, the EVM tampering controversy we've seen has always been alive. Now, how do you really repose the faith in the voters that look, the way you are casting the vote, that EVM is not going to be tampered, and how do you also repose faith in the political parties?
Actually, as far as common voter is concerned, our outreach program of awareness campaigns on EVM and VVPAT to remote voters has really succeeded. Wherever we had elections like Tripura, Nagaland, Meghalaya, then Karnataka, Gujarat, Himachal, now these 5 states, I myself went and found that after voting and counting themselves, their faces lit up. And they felt this is really magic, this is so good, so effective, and whatever political parties have been talking is totally unfounded, totally baseless. So the faith and confidence of common voter is in these machines, and it is going to multiply as we go in Lok Sabha awareness campaign. Political parties, the trend has been that whosoever wins, he says that he would have won with more votes if EVM was not there. Whosoever loses says that EVM is tampered. Whereas these machines are totally tamper-proof, and our EVM status paper, which is in public domain on our website, it analyzes each and every aspect. Why developed countries like Germany, Holland are not using, what happened in Ater, what happened in Maharashtra, what happened in all those incidents which were reported,
right,
what was wrong, and whether there was any fault of the machine. Absolutely no. So all those facts have been put in that awareness paper. And there is a book recently written by our ex-Deputy Election Commissioner, Mr. Alok Shukla,
okay,
which brings out the journey of EVM from the invention stage. And this really gives in great detail how it cannot be tampered and how is it different than the machines invented elsewhere.
But normally, how does one really, like for example, this is going to be apparently the first general election of 2019 where you're going to have 100% VVPAT. And is it really going to become a game changer as far as the electoral process is concerned? Because you have 100% VVPAT now.
Actually, we have started 100% VVPAT in elections right after July 2017. Gujarat, Himachal states and Goa, these were the first to have 100% VVPAT, and now all elections are having 100% VVPAT. In fact, Karnataka by elections recently held and today counting is going on, also had 100% VVPAT. And we will have general election to Lok Sabha in 19 with 100% VVPAT. We feel that it will be a game changer in the sense that acceptability of the voter has really increased, because now after pressing the button of ballot unit, voter can see whether his or her vote has gone to the same symbol, same candidate whose button that person has pressed. And that is where everything matters, because if voter has confidence, all kinds of vested interests can be defeated by us.
But when it comes to VVPAT machines, a lot has been said, in fact controversies have been created about the display time of the VVPAT. Political parties have gone to the court saying whether it should be increased, whether it should remain the same. What is the current scenario as far as the display timing of the VVPAT machine is concerned?
Actually, everybody knows that these developments of these machines took years. Now, making slight change that from 7-second display time, it should be increased to 12 seconds, it will take again a few more years. So, and if you want to just see practically, press the button, see 7 seconds, in fact you will get bored. Why should you see it for 7 seconds? Because once you have seen it, that it is the same symbol and candidate,
right,
then you want to push off. And in fact many voters I saw, because we have webcasting, so I can see polling stations sitting in my room, even in Manipur or Mizoram. And I saw that many voters would just press the button, see, and then run away. So there is absolutely no need to increase, because 7 seconds is good enough. And after this demonstration awareness campaign, every voter knows what voter has to do and within what time frame. So I don't think it is required at all.
But when it comes to the auditing of the VVPAT trails, is it really a big challenge? I mean, we've been reading figures like 30% auditing, some say less than 30% auditing. So for the coming elections, for the current states which are going for polls and also for the Lok Sabha polls, what is the measure of auditing you look at? I mean, is it going to be simultaneous? How do you really put the auditing system in place?
We have to take all the concerns of political parties because they are our main stakeholders. They have been demanding that instead of one polling station randomly selected for every assembly constituency, this VVPAT slip count should increase. And therefore, Commission took a call and engaged Indian Statistical Institute in making a study with all the statisticians in the country to bring out a sample size which will give us near zero error with 99.9999% confidence. And that will be considered by the Commission to be put in place because we are living in a world where everybody is watching us. So if just by thumb rules or if just like that, instead of 1, make 10, make 5, make 12, it doesn't make any sense because you are auditing for error-free, full confidence. And that statistics comes in there. And once they give us this recommendation, Commission will take a call and will really put it in place.
Now, coming to the security aspect and talking particularly about what happened recently with the DD News cameraman who died in Dantewada. Now, there are certain guidelines in place. Most of the reporters or the cameramen who are going, they know what is happening in the conflict areas. But even then, these kind of tragedies happen. How would Election Commission advise the crews which are going, whether it's print or whether it's television? What is your advice to the people who are going on coverage?
One feels really sad for the death of Achyutanand Sahu, the Doordarshan cameraman. But just after that, Commission visited Chhattisgarh and Commission got first-hand information from most of the police officers there and civilian officers there. It emerged that whatever security protocols were needed were not really in place when this incident happened.
But there were reports also whereby Election Commission had to face a lot of flack. That probably Election Commission did not give them the permission and that's why they went inside.
Election Commission permissions are issued by our media cell and these permissions are not yet issued. So there was no question. Nobody asked for permission and nobody gave a permission. So Election Commission was not in the picture. And another thing is that generally, like very recently I saw a video and a report from Economic Times where the journalist went all alone and did everything, in fact spoke to the Naxals and brought back the story without any harm done to him because left-wing extremists also treat media as their friend. Only thing is that if somebody in civilian clothes is accompanied with uniformed clothes and that too inadequate. If you go with uniformed clothed person, you must have full security retinue with you, then you are safe. But if you are going with inadequate, then they consider you as an informer, that you are with the police and you are gathering information and you are going to feed to them. That really makes them angry and some retaliation takes place. In this particular case, what exactly happened one doesn't know, but one can only sympathize that this should not have happened.
So your advice is that either go with full security or you don't inform anyone when you're going on the field.
It is up to you. Okay. It is your choice.
Right. One last bit before we start winding up the interview, and that is how far has India gone as far as the availability of the voting infrastructure for voters with disabilities is concerned? Because that is an area on which we find that not much work has been done. So how far are we on that?
It's a very important question because the Commission this year had the theme accessible elections with a focus on persons with disabilities, and we had consultations at districts, at a state level and then at national level We invited all the civil society organizations working for the persons with disabilities, took their views and compiled all those suggestions and started working on them in right earnest. Like one thing was done during the national consultation itself. We brought out the epic in Braille so that a blind person can also read his or her epic. Now we are taking stock at booth level. How many persons with disabilities are there? What kind of disability? What kind of assistance required? How will they reach the polling station? And how will they be able to vote? All these aspects form integral part of our booth level plan. And these booth level plans are integrated to create a constituency level and district level plan. And all the needs of these people are taken care of sufficiently. And to see and to audit, in your words, we are sending accessibility observers also. Okay. In these 5 states, we have sent accessibility observers who will see whether all those things are in place, whether persons with disabilities are really facilitated sufficiently.
So it's not at the data gathering stage. You held consultations,
yes,
and you will see that the assistive new technologies are made available for the voters with disabilities.
And it is being audited by the observer.
But what about people with intellectual and psychosocial abilities? Because still we feel that, I mean, they don't have voting rights, and the Representation of People's Act says that people with unsound mind, cannot vote. So are we going to see a change in the law, some kind of an amendment? Is Election Commission taking a proactive measure in just wiping out this discrimination?
Actually, the person who is certified with unsound mind, he is only debarred from enrolling and voting. And I think for changing that, time is not yet ripe. But in the garb of that provision, you cannot deny enrollment and voting rights to all those people who are slightly mentally retarded or underdeveloped or having some other issue. All those people have to be facilitated to enroll and to vote. And all the suggestions received for such category of people during the national consultation, we are working on these so as to facilitate all such people to come out, enroll and vote for elections.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rawat. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
So that's it on this episode of To The Point. See you next time with another personality. Goodbye and thanks for your time.